welcome back to another great episode of We Speak Dispatch. Because we're speaking dispatch, you should be speaking dispatch too. We're here joined with our special guest today. There's Leslie over there. Hi, Leslie. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Joe, how are you doing down there?
I'm doing great. The weather here in Iowa is beautiful for November.
It's beautiful here in Tennessee too, just saying. So, Leslie, how's it?
It's freezing in California.
All right, and we're joined with our special guest. Introduce yourself and Ben, and tell everybody what's your deal out there.
My name is Ben Johnson. I work at an agency in Southern California. I've been dispatching for almost 20 years, 16 of those full time, and I've been a supervisor for going on almost 6 years now.
Okay, cool. And do you dispatch police, fire, and EMD or anything like that, or what do you do?
Yeah, so my agency, we're one of the few that does three. So we do law, fire, and EMS. Okay. Our EMS is separate than our fire here. We also provide EMD.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay. That's good stuff out there. So, and Ben, I didn't tell you to begin with, but we'd like to have fun here. So if you want to jump in anytime, just feel free to jump.
I'm not like you. I'm not sure how to deal with that.
Yeah. Very serious all the time.
If Leslie's talking, feel free to interrupt her. So it's no big deal.
You know what? Here we go. It's
right,
on.
Let me ask you this, because when I'm teaching classes now around the country, I'm always asking people, are you being trained for the future, for the stuff that's coming that we have to think about? And so I'm always asking people, like, has your agency approached all of you to say, like, hey, we got new technology coming. How do we get prepared for it? What do you think you do? How do you guys encourage your employees to think outside the box, to not just sit back and wait for something to be thrown at them, but to actually encourage them and say, hey, can you go do this? Can you do these things? I will tell you before we get rolling here that one of the exercises I try in our classes is the 2 questions. I have them take 2 Post-its and put them on the wall open out there. And I want them to come up with 2 new ideas, plans, or strategies to make their center better. Obviously, you don't think I'm going to get a new building. I want company cars. I want a $5,000 raise. Not going to happen. But there are these 2 new ideas, plans, or strategies. What are they that can make your center just better than others? And everybody can look at it going, I want to work there. They've got some cool ideas. It's important to think of these things, because I always tell people, like, look, do you think your favorite singer sat in the hotel room one day and said, hey, y'all, I'm going to write a gold record. Hold on a second. Or do you think there's a box of really bad stuff that they found one that made them a great idea? And that's how I try to inspire people to come up with new ideas. So how do you guys do this? Anybody can jump in, feel free.
Wow, that's a tough one.
It's tough. It is very tough.
Joe, you've been a supervisor, and what are you, a director now?
Nope, just manager.
Wow.
Just a manager. That's kind of important.
Okay. Yeah. So this question kind of goes to you too. Then how do you, like, inspire people to come and think outside the box? And
I would say one of the things we do that's I think fairly unique, maybe several other agencies do it, but when I talk about, we do our own in-service training as well as other training as well. So everybody has to come to it. We pick a day. It's 8 hours, and we get together and we go through things where there may be some questions, but we make the training fun. And then we do talk about things like, what can we do to improve? Sometimes that's not included in every training. And then the other thing we do is we also include people lately. We haven't always done this, but passing on things for succession planning so people can continue to learn and become more invested in these changes and take on more responsibility and get involved. So the training of them and asking them for their input, and then letting people take those role honors.
Do you ever get, like, because I know I tried to do this a couple of times, different places I've worked. Do you ever try to get the employees to come up with training that they can train everybody else with?
Yeah, I did that a few times. And sometimes I tell you what, it's been the best training we've had for the in-service training, because it's what they want.
Right.
Why not give them what they want? When I write the agenda, it might be something I want, like, boring, And when you get their input and they want the training, why not ask them what they want? And if you can do it and it makes sense, some of our best training days has been because of the input from the people that suggested it.
Damn, that's cool. All right. Ben, how about you? What do you guys do? How do you make people think outside the box?
So one of the things that's been a recent measure that our manager was doing is that she was sending at least one supervisor and 1 to 2 line level personnel to CalNENA, which is our association, state association's NENA conference, so they can go hear ideas, go to those small subgroups to hear different concepts that other agencies are doing. And I got to go this last year, ironically, a week before everything got shut down. We snuck our conference in and got to hear some stuff. And I've been hearing Next Gen 911 for a while, but nobody ever really explained it. Nobody ever really discussed like what it really meant. And
Yeah.
sitting in on a couple of discussions, I was like, this is a big deal that has not been talked about enough. And this is coming around the corner a lot faster than I think most people realize.
Mhm.
So it was good to get that information to come back and start to share it with the people that I know it was going to impact or would have a voice to help make it easier for people to transition to.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a big one that we've been doing. We also do a training day once a year. It used to be for our agency, we called it fire season training day before they went into what was high fire season. Now California, we just burn 24/7. So we just make it an annual kind of spring training now. And it's a 1 hour or 1 day, 8-hour day of training. And it goes over a myriad of topics. Every other year we incorporate our mandatory CPR first aid training that we have to have for EMD gets booked into it. But sometimes it's fire gets a couple hours. If there's somebody from law that has something they want to present to us about a topic, we open it up to the EMS agency to bring in stuff. Or we've asked people, hey, what's something that you guys are struggling with that we could spend more time on? So
Sure.
maybe it's understanding our RMS, maybe it's understanding how to use the new alert system, like anything like that. We can have somebody who is more proficient, maybe not necessarily the training supervisor, but somebody's more proficient and knows that material to,
Mhm.
hey, you've got an hour of time, make a presentation that you can give to the group. And so we've started to incorporate that a little bit more. And those are kind of a fun day where you get to just be with your coworkers,
Right.
not on the floor, not taking everything else, and get to learn some stuff in kind of a laid back atmosphere, not the normal, I mean, other than Doug's trainings, other than the normal fun trainings that you go to. It's kind of a thing that we look forward to when those get to come up. This year, ours got kind of pooched because of COVID and we couldn't do it. So it was more, here's this PowerPoint or here's this document to read, and it still got the point across. It just wasn't the same atmosphere.
It's
being
funny
here.
though, because I know that when you have the floor,
That was, I
Yeah.
just had a,
Leslie just had an earthquake over there. My God. But sometimes when you have the floor actually present training, everybody learns it a lot better because they're like, oh, this is we use it right now. As
Mhm.
opposed to a manager, no offense, Joe, or a supervisor, no offense, Leslie and Ben. But if you have somebody just presenting some stuff and they're like, the hell, you don't even do this job. You have no idea what we're doing. But if you have somebody who's actually been doing it, going, here's what you should be catching on this thing. So that's a big thing. What about you, Leslie?
well, we just recently got a station dog. So we have a black lab.
It stays at your office?
It can roam the station, but its primary home is in dispatch because there's always somebody there 24/7.
Do you have any
So-
problem with people saying they're allergic to this thing or they need?
No, we asked previously. We have a couple dispatchers who, one was kind of afraid of dogs because she had a bad experience when she was little. Another one is just kind of a germaphobe, and she doesn't like anything dirty. So we just have to vacuum extra when she's on duty. But we're now looking at, okay, so we did this. What's next? How can we push that envelope that you're talking about, and how can we be a little bit more innovative? So that's been super cool. And I think the other challenge is, and I want to pick Ben's brain a little bit, is okay, on that day where you have all of your people going to training, who's working in your center? Because that's the hardest thing for us to kind
Yeah.
of figure out is who stays behind, because the phones are still going to ring and officers are still going to pull traffic. How do you navigate through that when you're given this training?
Ours ends up being four 1 hour or 4 8-hour days. So we send this squad on this day, this squad on this day. We're on 12s right now. So it's easy to just say, all right, all of you, this is your day, you're going. It's overtime. We're just going to eat it because it's much easier to coordinate a whole group of people on their day off to come in. At one point we had every other Wednesday, or we had an overlap on Wednesday, so we could send half to one part and half to another. And then the next week do that. That's typically how we do it. There's been a couple trainings that the supervisors got separately. And then on the day that we needed to give it to more people, the supervisors covered the floor and everybody else went to the training, which was kind of fun because you don't get to work with your other supervisor all the time. You're always opposite each other. So there's a moment we all looked at each other and went, this is kind of cool. How can we do this more often? Like just us getting to hang out and
That's
work
right.
and do it.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the thing. It's I love these training days that are outside the box because people are like, they like this kind of training. And like you said, you get to work with people that you haven't worked with before. And I used to do that when I worked in San Bernardino County. We had these training days. We'd send everybody, and the supervisor worked the floor, and it was great because we
Yeah.
messed things up. And it's like, oh God, I thought that worked this way. It's like, but it was
Yeah.
like a great kind of fun experience for everybody. All the floor got to go and do training. We got to work the radios and stuff and kind of do that kind of thing. So it's kind of a thing. I mean, what about like, go ahead.
Well, we have, and kind of similar to what everybody's talked about, it's quarterly. So our officers have AOT for advanced officer training. All of our professional staff, because I work at a police department, so we've got records and crime prevention and all these other people who are not sworn. We have AQT, advanced quarterly training. And there's a cadre of instructors who puts on the training. And this quarter's training, I just went in, I was taking the dog out, and we went by where the class was and stopped in, but they were doing uniform inspections because as civilian employees, we're not as familiar with, especially in a Class A event where you got to wear the long sleeve and all that stuff. Where did the ribbons go? Where does your badge go? So they did that. They did just a history of the city. So people kind of had an idea of the city that they work for. And we had one not too long ago where it was how to prepare for an interview and how to update your resume.
Wow.
So it wasn't necessarily specific to the job because we had so many different representatives in the room that were from dispatch and records and all these other positions, but stuff that personal and professional development to show that, hey, this agency values you as an employee and we want to, even if it's not with us, if you want to develop and move on to other things, let us help you do that. And that's been hugely successful because it promotes people to realize, wow, I'm not just a fill in the blank. I'm a valued member of this organization.
And it really shows them that the agency does care about them. They're trying to get them to be the best they can, doing whatever they can. Wow.
That's been cool.
Well, don't you wear uniforms at your place, Leslie, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you have
We
uniform
wear
inspections?
Well, we have Class C uniforms, so like a polo and dicky pants or whatever. But Class B, we have the uniform shirts with the patches on them and then the badge. And then Class A is the long sleeve with the tie and all that stuff.
So you have uniform inspections, though, just like the officers do, right?
Yeah, we will now.
Tonight, here we go.
Yeah.
Now that everybody knows how to wear their uniform,
Yeah, there you go.
and that's the thing. We had this big audit. We have this big audit binder. So there's an audit that we have to do every month as a supervisor. And one of them was uniforms. Well, we realized I can't hold somebody accountable to something if I haven't trained them on what my expectations are. So we made that a part of the AQT training. And so now it's.
Oh, do you guys have uniforms?
Yeah, we do. It's similar to Leslie's Class C. We do a polo and like tactical pants. So sometimes it kind of gets some interesting jokes of tactical clothes for dispatch, but it's kind of interesting. But we do have uniform in there. But we also have dress down days in the policy as well.
Yep.
Okay. And Ben, do you guys have uniforms?
We got a Class C polo, so it's got the logo on it and our name and title on it. And then we fought hard to get out of the Class B, Class C uniforms, and we now get to wear dark jeans that are non-tattered, wholly, not fashion trendy, but some dark jeans and then dark shoes for work. A few of us have still the BDUs from back in the day when that was part of our uniform, and those are still acceptable, but it's not required anymore.
I just like the idea that Leslie said that they went and they told them how to wear that uniform, because I've asked a lot of people who wear uniforms, who told you how to wear it like that? And they're like, we just sort of watched other people and they said to do whatever. And I'm like, I love the idea that they're telling you, like, this is what you should be wearing and this is how you should be wearing this kind of stuff out there. So that's kind of a cool thing. I mean,
we have some significant Class A events where, so if somebody retires, we do an end of watch broadcast and everybody is in their Class A. We just had employee recognition luncheon, those kinds of things. So we have Class A events where people are required to wear them. So we thought, we need to tell people what we expect.
I mean, I talked about earlier about these plans and strategies to make your place better. I mean, I hear a lot of people saying that some centers, like the centers I've worked at, they get a decorate for the holidays. And a lot of people like decorating. They just like to what it looks like, and it's like it's a fun environment. And some agencies just won't let them do it. They're just absolutely no. You cannot do that kind of stuff. Do all of you get to have decorations at your offices?
Yes.
Yep.
And who puts them up? Is it dispatchers or is it?
Normally it's the dispatchers. Sometimes they may fall behind or need a little encouragement that says, hey, the date's getting near. What do you guys want to do?
Yeah.
But the instant you get it out, I found as a supervisor or manager or leader of the shift, they'll join right in because they ultimately, at least my experiences, they want to participate and do it. They just might not be, aware that it's as close as what it actually is.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, we spend so much time with everybody. I mean, we spend more time with the people we work with than our families. So we should have this kind of thing. I mean, does anybody here have, an agency was telling me about this not too long ago, where when the person first gets hired, they bring their family in with them. Do you have that? Maybe it's you, Leslie, telling me that.
We do that. And
Well, it
unfortunately,
was a terrible idea. Anyway, so
we've had to kind of curtail it a little bit because of COVID, but I learned it from another class where we have the people, our new employee, usually maybe they've been on the job for a week or so, but within those first couple of weeks, we have a pizza party and we just put it out in the break room and whatever. So the dispatchers can come and have some pizza and meet the families. And we take them on a tour of the center and of the agency. We give them a book, the Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement. We give them that book. We kind of talk to them about the training process because we all remember training was not fun. And so they can kind of get a little bit of an idea of what's happening to their loved ones when they're on the job. And we have found that that's been hugely successful because we recognize, and one of our dispatchers leads this group. She's actually been on We Speak Dispatch, Glenna. It's called Family Matters. And so it's not just for dispatch, it's for any new employee.
yeah.
So they get the same level of, hey, bring your family because your family matters. Because we're taking on your loved one as part of our family. We want to extend that to you as well.
Do
And
either one of you two do that, Ben or Joe? Do you guys do that at all with the families? No.
No, I just heard about it. I just heard about it recently.
Yeah, it's like out of the box thinking. I mean, that's why I'm talking about out of the box today. It's like this is stuff that we don't even think about of the impact that it has on somebody when you bring your family and say, look, they're going to be spending so much time here doing this job. Come and see this kind of thing.
It's the first time I've heard it. First time I've heard of it. And Leslie, that is a phenomenal idea. Talk about a humongous retention thing and just an amazing idea. And I mean, once we can start doing that, I'm definitely going to be talking to my superiors about that. So that's awesome.
Such an easy thing to do. I just love the idea. I mean, I never heard about it until recently. I think when Leslie said it one time, one of our podcasts here, but it's something I thought, man, we should have done that long ago. I mean, I will tell you before we go ahead, Ben.
You don't know much about your coworkers' families until you're well into a career, especially when you're a trainee. Originally it was like, come in, do your bit. I'm not going to get to know you too much early on because I'm afraid I may not keep you. So I don't want to get too invested.
Yeah.
Whereas the culture's changed, but that is a thing. Like I want to get to know you. I want to get to know your personality because that may help me help you in your training when I know where you come from. And so I think we've always relied on, we tell people up front, this is what you got to expect about this career, and hoping that they're conveying that to their family, like the importance and intensity that they get into. But quite often you realize that's not the case when the family's like, why aren't we seeing you at the holiday? Why aren't you seeing you at these things? And they're like, wow, that job that I've got that I've been doing for 6 months.
I have to work, for God's sake.
This buy-in that Leslie's got, I think would be, when I just heard it within the last 2 weeks, I was like, when we get out of this, we need to get that into our cycle because that could,
I just think it's such a great idea. And I will just do this before we get out of here. We're almost out of time, but I just trained at an agency. I won't tell you which one it was, but they give all of their new people this booklet, and this booklet has pictures of all of the employees and a little bio on each one of them that will tell you about who you're working with. So you don't have to guess what their names are. Everybody's in the thing. And I said, how long have you been doing that? They said, we've been doing it for a long time. And I'm like, that is freaking crazy awesome because it's so hard to remember people's names. Now you get to see their name, their family, what other kids are, whatever. And it's like, it's kind of like Leslie's thing, a little bit simplified, but it's like, I love both those ideas. It's such an easy thing, but it means so much out there. So it's important.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate Ben you showing up here and having fun with us today in our another episode of We Speak Dispatch. Because if we're speaking, You should be speaking dispatch too. And hey, Joe,
Yeah.
tell about where you can find us on pod.
Oh man, you can find us on almost every podcast platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, all the other ones. If we're not on there, contact us. But special shout out to all of our fans from United States, Canada, Qatar, Ireland, Russia, Germany, Madagascar, Singapore, and Taiwan. Thank you, everybody around the world. for
That's so
listening to
cool,
these
Ben.
things.
You've just got international right here, man. It's
I
like
was say, and international. You told me this was just a mom and pop show. I didn't realize we were going
No.
international here.
I
Come
didn't
on.
realize we were going to be so big, but our sponsors are Zybex, and they provided us with these decals, which we'll be sending you, Ben. And we're going to remind people again, if you get a decal, and they're free, just send us an email. We'll be glad to send you one. We got a lot of them. And it's cool because we want you to put them on something, and then we will show you. Will you just send a picture to us and let us know where you put it, and we can actually show it to everybody. There's Leslie's on her water bottle. We got one of our computers in here, so it's something to definitely do. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all these different accounts out there. So we appreciate all of you listening in. It's another great episode. If we speak dispatch, you should be speaking dispatch too. So we'll see you till next time. Thanks, Ben.
All right. See y'all later.
Hey, it's Michelle, and you've been listening to another great episode of We Speak Dispatch, proudly sponsored by our friends at Zybex.
911, what's your emergency?
911 emergency.